Hello. My name is Elise. Welcome to my channel. It has been a little bit since I made a video, longer than I wanted it to be, and that is because I have been very ill. So I got really sick and I had to cancel all the videos I was making because I lost my voice entirely. To me, it still sounds weird, but I know that's because I hear myself every day. So it might sound totally normal to you. Let's hope that it does. But I'm gonna hope that I can make it through this video without losing my voice or having a coughing attack. I tried to make this video yesterday and could not get through it. So I'm hoping that today my voice will be a little bit better and we can make it through the whole thing. Other caveat before we start. So my plans for content for the end of the year were different. And I was gonna make some tier ranking videos of genre fiction that I've read a lot of in the year. And I do still plan on making those. They'll just be coming in January. But since I couldn't make that content, I originally wasn't gonna do a January TBR, but I am going to do one now because I want to get a last video out for the year, and it would be weird to like put one of the tier ranking videos up now and the rest later. So I'm just going to do a TBR and we're going to enjoy it. We're going to enjoy the ride of this January TBR. So with that, we will get into it. Like always, I will start with the books that I am for sure reading, or at least like supposedly for sure reading, and then I'll get into the maybes. I will let you know when I switch over into the maybes. And the other thing is January I'm sort of using as a catch-all to read some of the books that I didn't get a chance to get to in 2022. A lot of these are going to be library books, so they're library holds that I've had for like, in some cases, almost the whole of 2022 and just have kept putting them off. And I'm saying it's like now or never. Like I've accepted the hold, so if I don't read it, it's going away and I'm not putting it on hold again. So that's a little bit of the plan. So it'll be a little bit different than some of my other months. But with that, we will go ahead and get into it. So the first book that I will be reading for the year, I do like to try and plan my first book as kind of like a guaranteed win. And for this year, I'm trying to remember which one of these is the fourth and which one is the fifth. Okay, so this year, the first book that I'm going to start out with is An Unexpected Peril, and this is by Deanna Raybourn. It's in the Veronica Speedwell series. This is number 6 in the series. I had this on my TBR for November and then couldn't get it read before I left the country for a long time and didn't want to keep the library holds. These are from the library, like through that whole time if I wasn't going to be reading them. So I returned them, got back on the hold list, and I have them again. So I will not let it happen twice. I'm going to read these. So this will be my first book of the year. And then I will also be reading after that the next book in the series, which is An Imposter, which is number 7. And part of the reason I want to get to these early on is the 8th one comes out in March. So I want to be prepared for that. But these are published by Berkeley Books, and I've talked about these a ton, but they are a kind of period piece mystery. So they take place in 1800s Victorian London, and they follow Veronica Speedwell, who is a lepidopterist, or, aka butterfly scientist, and she has found her life in danger. So this older kind of enigmatic man swoops in and saves her from someone trying to kill her. And he says like, hey, you just need to trust me. Like, I'm here to look out for you. I'm going to try and investigate why these people are trying to murder you. And while I'm off doing that, I'm going to put you in the care of my very good friend Stoker. And Stoker is used to be surgeon or doctor, and he had a fall from high society and is now kind of disgraced and is a taxidermist. So he is like a big kind of burly guy and is supposed to be in charge of protecting Veronica Speedwell. And while they are together, they decide to investigate on their own, and that is where the adventure begins. So this is a murder mystery series. It's fantastic. It's so fun and funny, and there's like sexual tension. Like, it just has all the things you would want if you like Sherlock Holmes-esque stuff. I think you'll really like this. So that will be my first 2 reads of January. Will be the next in the Veronica Speedwell series. All right. After that, I will be picking up Jawbone, and this is by Mónica Ojeda. This is translated from the Spanish by Sarah Booker and published by Coffee House Press, I think. Yeah. So this is actually the January pick for Translatedgems. They host a book club over on Instagram. I'll link their Instagram handle down below if you would like to join. I think you still can. So yeah, this is the pick for January. So we will be reading this together, and I'm very excited. This was longlisted for the National Book Award in Translated Fiction. I don't remember if it was shortlisted or not. But I definitely was intrigued by the premise, and that's part of why I picked it up. So this follows 2 young women, or girls, I think at the time that it starts, and they're extremely close. They consider each other sisters, but I think it's almost like eerily close, like too close maybe. And they basically are inseparable for a long time, and then you kind of flash forward to one of them being held captive by one of their professors or teachers at like a boarding school or something like that. And you then go back in time and I think make your way to that moment and see how they got there. So I'm very intrigued. I think this is going to be pretty dark. And yeah, I'm excited for some kind of like messy friend dynamics. So that is Jawbone, and very excited for that. All right. Next one in the like for sure, this is slightly a spoiler for my December wrap up. Like I said, I got sick, so my December TBR did not go as planned. So I want to read Blankets by Craig Thompson, and this is, it's written and illustrated by him, and this is published by Top Shelf. And this was on my December TBR. I did not get to it. It's huge and floppy and lovely. And this one follows 2 young kids who are best friends, similar to the last one. And it's about their life growing up together. And I think that they fall in love. And it's very snowy and wintry. It's all in black and white. That's a little bit of the art style. I'm excited to get to this. I want to get to it in the winter season. So I'm prioritizing it again for January, and definitely hope this is good. So that is Blankets. Now we're officially getting into the maybes. So the first maybe that we have here is another graphic work, but it is a graphic nonfiction. It's kind of like a graphic memoir, but for a small chunk of the person's life. And that is Ducks by Kate Beaton. And she previously wrote Hark a Vagrant, which is a graphic novel, totally different, very funny from this. And this one is published by, let's see who. This one is published by Drawn and Quarterly. And this follows her experience of working in the oil sands. So for a period of 2 years, she worked in the oil sands to earn some cash because they notoriously pay people under the table. So she's not only talking about her experience there and kind of the brutal work that it consists of, but also the industry as a whole and how it really perpetuates underpaying their workers. It really exploits people who are undocumented and things along that line. So I'm very excited to read this. I've heard great things. This author was at the Portland Book Festival while I was there, and I just wasn't able to make it to their session. I had too many other ones to go to, but I was hearing a lot of buzz about this while I was there. So very excited to pick this up, and happy I get to read it from the library to see if I love it first before I want to buy my own copy. So that is Ducks. Next one that I'm interested in reading is one that I've just been like eyeing on my shelves for a while now, and it's just time for me to pick it up. And that is Family Album. And this is by Gabriela Aleman. And this is translated from the Spanish by Dick Cluster and Mary Ellen Fieweger. So this is a collection of short stories, and it's published by City Light Books. And I have just been wanting to read another short story collection. I read one, another spoiler for my December wrap up. I read one in December that I just loved, and it's made me want to pick up more. And this one, I've just like had this itch to grab it. I'm not sure if it's the cover or what, but this one has to do with like, it's kind of like noir, satire, detective-y type fiction all wrapped together. And I think that is like kind of the plot line of some of the stories, but of course each one is unique. And I think, like, for example, one of the stories follows a pair of deep sea divers who are looking for sunken treasure in the Galapagos. There's another one that follows a night with the husband of Ecuador's most infamous expat. So lots of different things going on here, but I think it's going to be like kind of like dark comedy in a sense, and I'm very much looking forward to that vibe. So we will see how this goes, but Family Album is definitely one that I want to try and get to. All right, now we're going to shift into even more library books. So like I said in the beginning, I'm wanting to kind of get through some of the library books that I've had on hold for a long time and just need to like do it. So the first one is Magma, and this is by Thora Hjörleifsdóttir. I think that's how you pronounce it. I looked it up, but we'll see if that was the correct pronunciation. And this is translated by Matich and translated from the Icelandic. And this is a story about abuse. So that's a little bit of why I've been putting it off, because I know the content will be heavy, but I've heard it's so good. It's also really short, so I want to at least try. The edition that I'll be reading is published by Black Cat. I know there's also editions published by Picador, so they're both out there. But this follows a 20-year-old who thinks that they are in love, and they're a young university student who becomes smitten with this like beautiful man that she meets at school, and he seems very like academic and sensitive and like all these types of things. Basically, he's like love bombing her as abusers do, and then their relationship goes increasingly dark. So I've heard that it's a really apt, nuanced description of abuse. I'm hoping that it will be well done, and I think I'm in a place where I'm ready to read it. So I'm going to try and get to Magma. Next one is Black Cake by Charmaine Wilkerson. This one is published by Ballantine Books and was a huge release last year at the beginning of the year, or I should say 2022. We're still in 2022. So huge release at the beginning of the year. And I have heard great things. This wouldn't normally be a book that I think I would pick up, but as I've said before on this channel, I am nothing if not trash for an inheritance trope. So this has an inheritance trope in it, and that makes me want to read it off the bat. I'm just a sucker for that. So this follows two estranged siblings who receive an inheritance from, like, I don't know if the woman is their mother or just their caretaker who raised them. But the woman who passed away leaves them a black cake, as the title would suggest, along with an audio recording that tells them the story of this other woman who was a swimmer on like a Caribbean island, and then all of a sudden became wanted for murder, and they fled the island. And so they're obviously like, why is she telling us about this woman? Suspicious. And so they start investigating the history of this woman, and I think lots of secrets come out, and it's a whole thing. So I'm excited to read this. Black Cake. Hopefully it's great. Next one is a nonfiction, and that is the Premonitions Bureau, and the subtitle is A True Account of Death Foretold, and this is by Sam Knight. It's published by Penguin Press in the US, and this one sounds so intriguing. So this follows, so Sam Knight is a New Yorker staff writer, and he is following a psychiatrist who a while ago came to believe that there was a specific town that had premonition abilities. And the reason he thought this is there was one instance where a ton of people in the town at one time were able to predict future events. And that was kind of disclosed in a newspaper, and people were having dreams and visions and like all these types of things. So the psychologist goes to the town and starts doing research, trying to find out whether or not people really can have premonitions and tell the future. And at the same time as that, his own obsession starts tanking his career, and people start thinking he's crazy because he believes these premonitions might be true, and he starts diving into the occult and like lots of things happening. It sounds so intriguing, and just like the truth is stranger than fiction almost. It sounds kind of bizarre, and I'm very excited to read this. So that is the Premonitions Bureau. And the last one from the library that I'm hoping to read is Empty Smiles, and this is by Katherine Arden. Took a throat clearing break, and this is part of her middle grade horror quartet, the Small Spaces Quartet. That's the name of the first novel, and these are published by Putnam Sons. That's an imprint for young readers. And this one is the final one, and I just want to be done with it. I have enjoyed them, but I'm ready to complete the series and wrap it up. So this one follows, I'll talk about the setup for the first one so I don't ruin anything. But this one follows 4 young kids who all sort of become friends at the beginning of the novel, and they encounter the Smiling Man, who is a spirit entity that tries to get children to give him their souls. So they have an encounter with him, and they have to try and figure out how to outwit him. So it's like a very fun horror middle grade. It's very whimsical, a lot of like, fantasy like elements in it. And there's like little mysteries and puzzles throughout that the kids have to solve that you're along the ride for. The first one is very thematic. It's around Halloween, and that's when I first read it, like years ago when it first came out. So I'm excited to read the last one in the series and have that completed. That is the last book that's officially on my TBR. There are others that like are simmering in my brain, but that's it for now. So with that, please tell me what you're excited about reading for January. And if you've read any of the books down below, please tell me what you thought of them. I'm excited to hear what other people might think. Also, if you've made it this far, just a little sneak peek of some of the content that might be coming, because I also have a question for you. So like I said, I'm doing some tier ranking videos on some genre fiction that I've read a lot of this year. And 2 of the ones I'm questionable about are whether or not I should do one on poetry and one on short stories. So I have read 10 of each of those in 2022. And I'm curious if people would be interested in seeing me tier rank the 10 that I've read for the year in order of how I liked them. I can go either way on making those. So if you're interested, let me know and I will do it. And with that, I will leave you all. I hope you have a great end of 2022 and an amazing start to 2023. I can't wait to see you then. Bye.